Welcome to the Album Anniversary Podcast. Today's show is about To Be Everywhere is to Be Nowhere by Thrice. It was released May 27th, 2016, and is celebrating a 10-year anniversary. I am your host, Caleb, or Caleb the Spy is what I go by on a lot of social media sites. And every day on those social media sites, I do my best to post about what I call album anniversaries. So, on the Album Anniversary Podcast, we take a look at a classic album, an album we love, or an album that's important to us. A couple disclaimers before we jump into this episode. One is this, I guess it's just one disclaimer, but it's about politics and faith. This is an album that's got a lot of that sprinkled throughout it. There's going to be conversations. I'm recording this before I've actually talked with our guests, but there's going to be conversations about faith. There's going to be conversations about politics. Just a reminder, if one person says it, it doesn't mean everybody believes that exact same thing. We're just trying to give a space where people can share what's on their mind. We're not going to argue about this political viewpoint or that political viewpoint or issues of faith. We're going to let people say what's on their mind and just let it be known. If the one person said it, they believe it, they think it. It does not necessarily mean that everybody else does. With that out of the way, I'm going to bring our guests in and we're going to jump into the show. All right, so I just want to welcome our guests, three wonderful returning guests back to the show. So, Stephen, welcome back to the show. It hasn't been that long since you and I talked.
I know. It was just recently. I'm glad you're not bored of me yet, but yeah, it's good to be back.
Never at all. And Matt, welcome back to the show. Matt, we had to miss a couple episodes. Just stuff got in the way, so I'm so glad we can make this work. So thanks so much for hanging out, and glad you're back.
I'm glad to be here. Glad you gave me another chance.
This is not a tryout. No matter what anybody says, this is for fun, and we're just talking about music. And then our third guest is Richard, all the way from New Zealand, and this will be the first of two times we talk in the next 3 days. I'm sorry in advance.
What, for me or for you?
No, I feel bad for you. I mean, talking to me 3 times in a week or twice in a week.
I thought you were apologizing to listeners, sorry for subjecting you to this guy.
No. I feel bad that but thanks so much especially for you. You kind of had to work you worked around your work schedule to make this work. So I really do appreciate that. Because I'm super excited to sit down and talk about this record. And I know lots of strong feelings and lots of excitement for this record. So yeah. I'm super excited to have you guys.
Let's do it.
So we were talking about To Be Everywhere is to Be Nowhere by Thrice. Again, May 27th, 2016. So a 10-year anniversary. And a couple things about this record. So let's start with it's their 9th studio album is what I'm seeing. And it's on Vagrant Records. And Vagrant Records, a couple other artists from Vagrant Records is the Get Up Kids. Paul Westberg of The Replacements is where he's most famous for probably. The L's, The Hold Steady, PJ Harvey. Sublime with Rome is a newer one. But that's only in Europe. I think they own their distribution rights in Europe. I don't know why. I've seen a couple bands recently that it's like that. And then the 1975 is another artist from that record label. So Vagrant Records.
Don't forget Saves the Day from Vagrant.
Oh, Saves the Day. Sorry. I probably missed it on the Wikipedia page.
Wasn't Alkaline Trio on Vagrant Records a long time ago too?
Oh, yeah, boy.
Yeah, that's like when I found out that when Thrice signed with Vagrant Records, I was pumped because Alkaline Trio is on the same label.
Okay. Any others that we know of?
The Anniversary.
A couple others. Cool. The producer on this is, oh boy, I get to say his name, Eric Palmquist. I think I actually got pretty close on that. The only things that jumped out from his production catalog is Mute Math, the Ataris, and then Thrice is the other big one. I can't remember. I wrote the script a while ago, but those were the 3 that really jumped out to me. He doesn't even have his own Wikipedia page, so yeah, that's kind of says what I know about Eric Palmquist. Do you guys know anything you'd add on Eric Palmquist? Has he worked with? Had he worked with Thrice before? I know the last Thrice record we had, it was a huge deal. The guy they got. This one seemed less of a thing.
No, I think they went through a period of kind of producing their own stuff for
Hmm.
Alchemy Index and that. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for Eric. Thanks for listening, Eric. All right. And then this was the first record in 4 years after a 4 year hiatus. This was they announced, I think the year before, 2015. They on their I think their Instagram account or something had like a picture and it said Thrice 2015, and then it was like a picture of the band performing in the studio and a picture from like behind the soundboard to announce they had returned when they took their hiatus in 2011, I want to say. Did you guys think they would actually come back? Were you like waiting for them, or did you think, oh, a hiatus, but they're really done?
I thought they were done probably. I'd been burnt a few times by people saying they were going on hiatus, and really it's just a nice way of saying we're breaking up. But it was nice that Thrice came back. I was not hanging out for it,
Hmm.
but very stoked.
Yeah.
So when Major Minor came out, they released it with really intense liner notes about every song, and
Hmm.
each band member chipped in about their experience with the song. And I remember being in my living room and reading the lyrics as the album was playing, and calling my wife in and just being like, "I think they're gonna break up."
Hmm.
And
Mm.
it was very apparent from the way that they were talking about everything that a bunch of the songs were written without Dustin there. And Dustin he didn't hardly ever speak about the music. He only spoke about the content of the songs. And then there just seemed to be a disconnect. And I felt like they weren't together anymore. And
Hmm.
that to me felt like I don't think it's a hiatus. I think there's something bigger going on. And then I heard that Dustin, moved to Seattle to become a worship leader. And I immediately was like, I think I have to go to Seattle and push him down and
Hmm.
talk some sense into him.
Yeah. I think the song Anthology as well felt like a kind of, closing off of the chapter kind of thing. It felt like this is our life's work kind of thing. This
Hmm.
is very representative of us and how we sound. Peace out, see you later kind of thing was the vibes I got from Anthology.
Hmm.
Yeah, very final.
Yeah, I mean, also like, I mean, I remember like hearing a lot of the crap that they had to go through too to get Major Minor even out. I mean, they
Hmm.
had their gear stolen. I feel like I'm pretty sure Ed and Riley's dad passed away, something, father passed away in the time, and then something with Tepe's grandma. There's a lot of just really brutal stuff that they were going through.
They also all had young families at that time. Like
Hmm.
they're starting to have kids and stuff, and that's always about the time where it starts to feel like, is this sustainable to be on the road all the year?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, like, I mean, if the Pirates is going to come back. I mean, I definitely, I mean, I probably still have the meme on my Facebook, but I have a meme that says like, I miss Thrice. Like, I genuinely, I thought it was over too.
Hmm.
So
So then, like, how excited? I mean, level of excitement when you saw the announcement. Did you see it on like? I mean, was it social media or was it a friend? I mean, how did you guys? Do you guys even remember like? Oh my gosh, they're coming back. Was it like? I cried when Five Iron came back. Just so we're clear. So was it that level of excitement, or am I the weirdo?
I needed it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I came across it on social media, and it was like a relief that I didn't know that I was like carrying this. Like I wanted them to come back. I needed some new music.
Hmm.
My journey with them leading up to the break, it felt like lyrically they were hitting on the same points in life that I was going through.
Hmm.
And so when they broke up, a lot happened in that 4 years. And in 2016, like I just opened my first business. I was taking big jumps and doubting myself a lot. And I just felt like when I heard the announcement, I was just like, thank you. I needed this. The universe knew.
Nice.
I don't actually remember when I first found out they were returning. I remember being like a little apprehensive about what new music would sound like from them
Hmm.
because like oftentimes when you know when a band breaks up and then they get back together later, it's never the same. It's the same with like movies. Like, you do Zoolander 1, it's amazing, and then 20 years later you're like, should we try recapture the magic, guys? And you can't. Like, it's like a magic in the bottle kind of thing that happens when great art happens, and you try and like, piece all the elements back together later, and it often doesn't work.
Hmm.
So I was a little bit like, oh, is it going to be as good? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I never thought about that. Shots fired at Zoolander 2, by the way. Come on,
I mean, it
Ben.
was fine, but
Come on
Oh.
the show, Ben. Defend your show. Or defend your movie.
Yeah.
That'd be a good get for me. Steven, how about you? Were you like super jazzed when? Because
Yeah, I mean,
are they your favorite band, Steven?
I mean, I would say they were my favorite band for a long time.
Okay.
I would say post this album, they started to fall
Less
away
so.
from being one of my favorite bands.
Sure.
But yes, I would say they're still very much in my top 10 of all time.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I remember that they even had a teaser on Facebook before like them doing something in studio. Like it was like Matt had the cover of the album, but it looked like the Ripple. And then like I feel like it was the next day they posted just the clip of Blood in the Sand. Like it wasn't even vocals. Like it was just straight, just the music. And I was just like, Thrice is back. Are you kidding me? Like I remember texting my wife and she has zero care what I listen to. Like zero. Like I mean, and she's like, who's Thrice? And I'm like, this is not what you say when I'm telling you that Thrice is back. Like this is such a good thing. And I remember texting my best friend, and he and I like commiserated over Thrice working at a Christian camp a long time ago. And then like, I mean, it brought me back to my high school days. Like this was like very much like what Matt was saying. This is something I needed. Like I don't think I cried, but I don't think I was. I don't think I've ever been more excited than any other band saying this is my return and
Nice.
coming back. So I would say this was a great thing for me.
All right. Well, now we'll get into the review section and see if it actually held up, if they actually held up their end of the bargain. No, I'm sure they will. You wouldn't have signed up for the album. Anything else on their hiatus? I'll ask that before I move on.
I don't know. Was Absolute Punk still going on at this time, or did it switch to chorus yet? Because like I remember there was just a lot of chatter, a lot on the message boards too, of wondering if Thrice was ever going to come back. And I just remember just writing on that a lot during this time too, of just like if anybody heard anything. And then like I know there was a big deal that he was up at Mars Hill too, but we don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're not the right
let's talk
podcast
about
for
Mark
Marcel.
Driscoll.
Yeah, I am not ready. It looks like Absolute Punk closed April 1st, 2016. So a month or almost 2 months before the release of this.
So I feel like there was probably a lot of talk on that. I just remember just people just questioning what, there was ever going to happen again.
Riley, during that hiatus, he started a grindcore band, which is the hardest music for me to listen to. I'm not a big fan, but I do think it's fun that he went to such an extreme. And I really wondered when they came back if they were going to put out just something just totally face melting, and a little bit crazier than they had done in a lot of years. The band, I don't know much about baseball, but the the band that he started was a mix up of a baseball player's name and the band Pig Destroyer. So it was a baseball player's last name was like Puig, and it was Puig Destroyer.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's hilarious, but not my cup
is
of
how you
tea.
pronounce it, but
Puig.
it's a tough name. If I didn't know it, I would have never pronounced it right. So yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to try. That's why I had nothing to add.
He's a crazy player too. I mean,
That guy was a character. He'd like lick his bat. And that guy was such a wild dude. The guy was an athlete, but he was obnoxious as heck.
You guys are all baseball guys.
No.
I don't know. No, I'm not. Like, so in New Zealand, we don't play baseball. We play cricket.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the superior game. Like, yeah.
Okay.
It's a global game in the way that baseball's not.
I went for a work event. I used to work downtown Minneapolis, and we walked down to Target Field to watch the Twins. And I'm sitting next to one of our developers who's originally from India. And I was at that moment, I was trying to explain to him the strike zone. And I was like, it's a made up area that is defined by the plate and the height of the dude. And you got to throw the ball in the middle. I was like, this is stupid. I was like, this is the dumbest thing in the world to explain. And it was like at that moment I realized, yeah, the three little sticks behind the batter make a lot more sense all of a sudden.
No, but so yeah, but we then if you're looking at cricket, we've got like when there's an LBW decision, you have to like, the umpire has to judge is the ball gonna does it strike in line with the stumps? And so they'll have like graphics that go down the pitch kind of thing that, when you're watching all the replays, and then they have ball tracking to show would the ball have gone on to hit the stump. So it's a similar sort of thing, really.
Right. Okay. Okay. I feel
Yeah,
less like an idiot. I felt like an idiot telling this guy. I was like, ugh.
No, honestly, cricket is a way sillier sport. Like even the positions are called like silly mid-on. Like that is that's literally what one of the positions is called. Like it's a very silly game.
Oh man. All right. Well, there we go. Well, that seems like a Patreon thing. We'll have Richard on attempt to explain cricket to me, and just the stupidest guy in the room be like, "Oh, what?" I'd be totally lost. So, couple more facts. That was a weird tangent to go on. I want to call out the two singles, right? So, Black Honey was so you guys. We were said before. Blood on the Sand was also a single. It sounds like so. The two off of Wikipedia were Black Honey, but I bet you Blood in the Sand was way before, because that was like April. So did they have a teaser for that like way before the album came out? And then was that actually released? I wonder if it was released way earlier. Let's see if I can look it up quick.
That's what I remember, is that they released Blood in the Sand, and then there wasn't anything until the actual album came out, and then Black Honey became the single when that album came out because of how well it charted. And like I mean, it's like I don't want to steal a fact from you, but I know
No,
it's
steal
their
the fact.
highest,
Yeah.
it's their highest like rated song, like your stream song. Or I mean, even like Spotify, like music video did really well and everything too. It's crazy. Which surprises me, because like that's not my favorite Thrice song. I think there's a lot of better
Yeah.
Thrice songs that could be
I have
more
takes
plays.
about both Blood in the Sand and Black Honey. Do we want to do them now, or are we saving that for when
Well,
we're
we'll
talking
save that
about
for
songs?
songs. Yeah. So that's good to know. We got those coming. And then Hurricane is also a single, but I was looking at the date, and if Wikipedia is accurate, it's April 25th, 2017. So almost a year. It's 11 months after the album was released. And I do wonder if it's something to do with how well the album sold, because it would reach number 15 on the Billboard 200, which is pretty solid for like a Christian adjacent group to reach 15. And I know by this point they probably weren't really labeled as that, but I think they have that stigma on them. I mean, there's a lot of people that probably still see them as at the very, and especially if he had been working at Mars Hill in the hiatus. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The idea that this one of the singles, Hurricane, was a year after, and got a whole video and everything, got the video treatment and all that. But I think that was almost a year after the album was released.
Well, I think the Thrice fans as a whole, knowing that I'm one of them, suffer from fan psychosis quite a bit. And what I mean by that is I think that the vast majority of fans are too invested and too close to the music. And when this album came out, one thing that I heard a lot of people say was it's too commercial.
Huh.
It's too straightforward. It's not complex enough. And they didn't like that it started doing well. And I'm sitting there going, just hear the record for what the record is. It's similar like with movies. You have people who get really fanatical about these artsy movies, and then they put down movies like Indiana Jones, which is a fantastic film and one of the best movies ever made, but it is corny, it is silly, it is supposed to be playful and fun. Sometimes the want to have something special that's uniquely ours gets in the way. And all I could say is when the song started doing really well and started getting played on the radio, I was like, this might be the moment. This might be the thing that solidifies the band, gets them the break they never had, and takes them to the next level. Do I like it when they're more complex? Do I like it when they're heavier and more off-putting? Yeah, I do.
Hmm.
But I love seeing that the buildup of those singles coming out leading up to the release.
Mm. I am I'm sympathetic to people like Thrice had created this reputation of every album sounds wildly different to the one before. Like if you think about the evolution from Artist in the Ambulance through Visu, the Alchemy Index, and then Biggers, like none of those albums sound remotely similar. So I was always like, wow, it's like fascinating to think what they might do next.
Hmm.
And I think once they got to, even, the evolution from beggars to major minor wasn't massive. So it feels like they kind of settled into a sound, and that sound has kind of continued through to where they are today. That's not to say there aren't like little interesting new things that they try here and there. But they were no longer doing this, oh, we're a whole new band now
Hmm.
thing that they seemed to do for a while, which I always loved. So when I hear what I think is them playing it safe, I am a little disappointed initially. That's not to say Blood on the Sand didn't grow on me and is now one of my favorite songs on the album. But initially, I was like, yeah, it is a little straightforward.
Hmm.
So I was right.
But I don't begrudge them any success. Like, oh, actually, I don't think I was like even aware of like the success at this time. I was in my own little world. I had like a baby. My first baby was born in 2015, so she was like just a few months old when this album came out. So I was just at home with her, like, I have memories of her falling asleep while we're listening to this record together.
Hmm.
So like I wasn't aware of what was happening on the radio or any sort of commercial success. It was something that I enjoyed in isolation and had my own relationship with it.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Black Honey in a restaurant, and I was like, "Oh, this is different. This is yeah." I mean, that's when I started. I was like paying attention and like seeking out what's going on with this album.
Hmm.
I remember, I forget which baseball player. It might have been Mike Trout. I remember one of the guys, I think it was Mike Trout, but I think he walked out to Black Honey too. It was like as a walkout song. I remember one of the guys, or I remember reading that or hearing that, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" Like Thrice, getting that noise, like I just love that, and I love that for them. And then it was just interesting in this time too, because I just think it just couldn't happen for a better band, honestly. Like just seeing that Thrice was coming back, and I just think for them, the probably break was really great, and the hiatus was probably good for them. But like I just freaking loved it. They were back. Like I just don't like when you're talking about Fire and Frenzy and then knowing that, like you don't know if they're ever going to return. Like I think just bands when they leave, it's just almost like a part of you dies. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but like there was a part of me that I felt like there was a missing piece in my music soul that just like, man, that was some good memories. That was some really monumental moments in my life that a lot of their songs have walked me through in my certain parts of my life. But it was just like this new beginning was just so, I don't know, it's just like a new chapter. And it was just like, dude, I'm right there with them. It was pretty cool. I don't
It's
even know if that
very emo and
makes sense.
melodramatic of you to say, but totally on brand for
Hey,
you. So
that's yeah, thanks. Thanks for recognizing my brand.
Chris Jimenez is the guy who had Black Honey as his
Mike.
walk-up song for it looks for a while. I can't tell. I don't want to. I'm always worried to go too deep on random websites. But yeah, that looks like is the person who did it.
Not Mike
There's
Trout, that
another
guy.
Mike Trumbo. It looks like may have had it for a while too. So there's a couple
He was
guys who
on
have used it. So
he was on the Angels though. Trumbo, right?
yes.
So maybe that's why I'm thinking Mike. My
Yeah,
bad.
he made his debut for the Angels. So yeah, he played on the Angels from although he played on the Angels from 2010 to 2013. So this came out in 2016. So no, so he must have used it later in his career when he was with Baltimore. So anyway, well that's a fun little man. This is such a weird. These are some of the weirdest tangents I've ever gotten in on the show. So
and cricket players typically don't have walkout songs,
we don't
so
have walk up music. Yeah.
it's a serious game. Apart from being very silly, it is a serious gentleman's game.
Yeah, no, baseball is all sorts of. Everybody gets their own song. It's a big deal what you choose. One guy, when Joe Mauer had his, Joe Mauer was a Minnesota Twins player. He had the same walk up music his entire career, and then at his when they retired his jersey, the hip hop artist who it was, who I can't remember who it is, he like came and performed the song at the ceremony. It was pretty hilarious.
There's nothing I can say. There's no way I can prove there's a place beyond this room, but still there's something in the way the light comes shining through, and in the way darkness
We already talked a little bit about this because I jumped ahead on the hiatus question, but what was your kind of when you discovered? It's not that you discovered this; you guys all knew this was coming. Kind of your day one experience and when you got this record. Was it day one? That sort of thing. For you when this record came out.
Yeah, for me, I pre-ordered it, the vinyl, and back then, vinyls showed up on time, unlike now. um, and so I actually got the record, I believe, the day before it actually was released for streaming. And so my first whole experience with it was what I said earlier. I sat down on my couch and I read the lyrics, and just put it on and listened to it front to back. I think I think I did it two times, and then the next morning it was on streaming, and it was just all I listened to for the next week or so.
So you're jumped in, pre-ordered. That's nice. Some vinyl comes out on time. I have a record that doesn't come out till Friday, and I'm expected to get it this week. No, it comes out next Friday, and it's already been shipped, so I'm hoping I get it early. So it all depends. Richard, how about for you? What was your discovery and first experience with the record?
Yeah, I think I've already like kind of mentioned this, but I was just like I was hanging out for it, so obviously I bought it straight away. But I think I did most of my listening on streaming because I was caring for a newborn baby, so I was just kind of like walking her, carrying her to sleep, you know, feeding, changing, all that stuff is going on while I've got it in the background. So yeah, it's a really interesting time for me because I felt very kind of like isolated from the rest of the world, but we're just in our own little bubble. And yeah, it was a really meaningful time for me. So like always having music connected to times of your life that feel special, it makes them stick with you a bit more.
Nice. Steven, how about for you? Day one, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bummed because I wasn't as big into vinyl as I am now. So I did not get it on vinyl, but I'm almost certain that I bought it on. I still think iTunes was still alive at the time. I think I hope. I mean, here we are with dates and trying to remember dates and things, but like I'm pretty sure I immediately bought it the day it came out on iTunes. Because I mean, I didn't have Spotify until start working at Starbucks in 2019. So, but I do know that when they did release this on Record Store Day in 2021, I bought the Record Store Day version of this on vinyl. But yeah, day one for sure. And I remember it was like super exciting to listen to the single though, because I think Matt really hits it on the head of just that kind of thrice psychosis that you just like, how are they going to sound or what's going to be their, what are they going to say? What does Dustin have cooked up in his head that he's going to use this amazing imagery of, water and fire and air and earth or things about whatever C.S. Lewis, I don't know. But like, I just couldn't wait. And then when he did Blood on the Sand, I was like, oh, this is a little bit different. And so I was very excited to hear like his whole thought process, or thrice as a whole, what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Did that Record Store Day version, was it different at all?
Yeah, it's blue and then it's got a cool little like kind of pinwheel splatter. I'll have to show it to you afterwards, but it's pretty cool.
But it's not like a
vinyl
remastered version. It's the same version.
Yeah, I think it's the same version. I think one version also had the C change as a what's it called? A 7-inch that came with it too, which was a B-side of this album.
What is it that we love about this record?
And this is always my favorite question. But then I also like get tripped up because I just get wrapped up in all the feels, and it's a good thing because there goes my emo spirit. But what I do love about this record, I was living in New Orleans at the time, and so it's interesting that the very first song was Hurricane, and I was just like, man, this is just kind of fitting, and it was interesting. This record came out right before I got married, and so like there was a lot of like life changes that were happening, and then also I just got out of the military recently, so a lot of like just a lot of emotions that kind of just felt very on brand of political things that were going on in my, in the hemisphere of just me leaving the military behind and seeing my friends still having to do things that may or not having agreed with anymore. Also just being married and just realizing just my own spiritual journey and like the long defeat. I can't wait to talk about that song. I did love the straightforwardness, honestly, in this record. I mean, for me, Thrice has always been something like Dustin Kensrue's lyrics for me are just like top tier amongst a lot of different artists. And so for me to just dive into his lyrics and just kind of like get inside his head. And I think Dustin Kensrue is very similar to Brian Fallon for me. Like he uses references or does things in songs that make me want to research. So like when at the time I didn't know anything about Stoicism. And so I was like, who's Seneca? Like I don't know what that means. And then that discovery of knowing who Seneca was and then realizing that was what the title was, a quote that Seneca, and I just love that about Thrice. And I love that Thrice doesn't just use just simplicity for simplicity's sake. And I think Dustin, as a writer, challenges their listeners. I want to go a little bit deeper. And maybe it's just him. And then maybe it's that Thrice psychosis that Matt's talking about, that this is what we're expecting. And then he has this pressure on him to maybe be super obscure and talk about super obscure things. But I just think that Dustin is on a different level of how he approaches his lyrics and his themes, and I've always appreciated that a lot. And so that's what I love about this record.
Yeah, what else would you guys add about his lyrics?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially I had some reservations lyrically because I was used to him being more abstract, and I kind of like that. I think a lot of people, as they mature, they get more direct and more straightforward, and people are like, and people typically praise them for that. They go like, "Yeah, say what you mean," and we don't want to hear your emo poems. But I'm one of the people who's like, I really love the shitty emo poems. So, like, I actually prefer you to be a little bit more like vague and obscure and make me work for it a little bit. And so I felt a lot of this album felt more direct and more obvious what it was about. But I think that the more time that I've spent with it, there is actually a lot more there than is on the surface. And one of the things that I really love is the way that like he switches to writing from different perspectives on this record. Like if you think like about a song like Death from Above, it's written from the perspective of the person, carrying out the drone strikes rather than like, and any other band would write a, political song and make that statement and just be like, this is a really shitty thing that we do. And it's kind of like finger pointy rather than like, actually, what would it be like to like have that ethical quandary be part of your day-to-day life? And so putting us in the mind of the person carrying out the strike makes it like hit so much harder than it could otherwise. And I feel the same way about Blood on the Sand, where it's like, again, could just be a like, this just a critique of the administration, but instead they include the line, there's a gun in my hand, or there might as well be, to say like, oh, in what ways am I complicit with violence? So it's like it's a bit more unsettling, and I really like that.
I think lyrically, number one, I agree with both of y'all. Uh, Dustin's just one of the best lyricists that I've ever encountered. But this one was different for me because I came from a heavy punk rock background, and in the punk rock world, there's typically fun, silly punk rock bands, and then there's super political bands. And I've never really identified with the political side of things. So, like, even though like Propaganda, like that's all they are, and I love their later stuff and how riff heavy it is, I like cannot read the lyrics because I don't care.
Hmm.
I want to get lost in it, you know. Same with, NoFX, Bad Religion, these bands that want to step up and make a point and make sure that you know it. I don't like that preachy side of things. And so when I started parsing out these lyrics from the singles, and then when I finally got the album and I'm sitting there reading it, um, I had a little bit of a pullback where I felt like, oh, great, that's going to be the new Thrice. Dustin went through some bad stuff with the church. He doesn't want to deal with that anymore. Now he's going to go full politics. Um, what was crazy was the songs overcame that in me. They're so solid. They're not. Um, they're not talking down to anybody. They're actually still pulling you along for it. And the lyrics do ask you to do some introspection. And the songs that I pulled back on hard at first, I love them now. I don't necessarily know if he was trying to make a point or if he was just trying to observe. And that might be part of it. So lyrically, I think that's a big one for me. I also love that he does callbacks to earlier albums as well in it, because that's for the fans. That's the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, like, because this is not the first time that Thrice were political, though. Like, The Artist in the Ambulance is a heavily political record. And then we had that first track on the Air EP about 9/11. Like, what made this feel different to that for you, Matt? Because you said you had that reaction. Did this come as a surprise? Like,
I think he's more plain spoken about it.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think it's and because of the nature of the songs, the songs are much more straightforward as well, and so it's very on the nose and it's really catchy, so it gets stuck in your head and it's
Hmm.
easier for you to dwell on it, or at
yeah,
least for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting, like when you see the timeline of when the artist in the ambulance came out, it was like right when the war in Iraq was like taking off. And then you see again when this is happening with a lot of the stuff that was happening in the political climate during that time too. It's just like I just think Dustin's just a genius, and then he's just a smart guy that really knows how to write the right things. And I just think he's not afraid to pull punches either, and I think a lot of these songs are just very timely when it came out too. And I think that I appreciated that a lot too,
yeah,
that he wasn't afraid to, because I think sometimes, like you're saying, there's these punk bands that say stuff just straight on the nose and they want you to know what they're saying. But I think Dustin, when he addresses these things, like they could always that response. How are we going to respond to this? I might not agree with it, like I mean like it was crazy because like just the year before I went to seminary school, I had to write like a persuasive paper and I wrote against drone strikes. And in Texas, in the state of Texas, in this super conservative school, and like I literally was writing about just my friends experiencing the trauma, and then like the very next year, and then I hear this song that Dustin Kensrue was talking about that too, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like,
he read your paper, bro. He plagiarized you.
yeah, probably. If Dustin read my paper, I'd probably cry and then never want to write something again.
Yeah. I think there is like that kind of like there are so many levels you can interpret songs on as well. Like I think this is one of the great things about Black Honey is like he said, yeah, it's about US foreign policy and how we like recklessly charge into different conflicts and wonder why everyone's mad at us. But you can apply that personally to any sort of self-destructive behavior. It could be about that. I've thought about it in relation to kind of like, church, scandals where, pastors are abusive and manipulative, and then it comes out, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, why is everyone mad at the church? Like, this is the work of God. Why is this the devil? That kind of thing. And I'm like, you can interpret it in any number of ways, and I think that shows really, really good lyrics.
I didn't realize Black Honey was political until I was reading up on it, because I just interpreted it as like a more personal self-destructive, like here's me and my self-destructive behaviors, And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I read it and I was like, oh, actually, oh, it's a little more. There's a, because he's commented on that being a little more political. So yeah, I totally agree. I think you can take that song on multiple levels, even if he had a very specific intention for it. So
Hmm.
yeah.
I like, does anyone else find, because that's probably one of the few songs where I feel like the metaphor starts to wear thin by the end of the song for me though. Like um, I'm like, all right, yeah, we get it, the bees kind of thing.
I actually like
So
how he
like,
switches the third chorus. That's my favorite part of that song is
yeah,
that he abandons that metaphor and does something else with it.
I was going to say, I just like that you talked about bees, honestly. Like, I just think sometimes Dustin uses very similar themes in songs. Like, he does a lot of things about water or he does stuff about different elements. And so, like, to me, hearing something about bees or hornets, and I just thought that was kind of cool. Like, using an animal as the descriptive of things. I thought that was kind of neat.
He was just trying to get Kylan because Kylan really just wants to listen to songs about bees. So that's really it. It was just a real straightforward attempt at how do we get Kylan into this record? I know I'll throw a song about bees on it, which is an inside
maybe
joke from a show a year ago that nobody's gonna get. Good job, me.
so maybe you can use it for your next round of that game that you play, Caleb.
Right, songs about bees.
Songs about bees.
Or maybe it was spiders. I don't know. No, because he had a. Well, that's a whole other thing.
He talked about spiders from Love Drug, I remember.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
Oh,
I think he does have a thing with spider songs. I think
Yeah.
I've talked to him about this. Yeah.
Because his favorite national, I think off that record, he loved the national song.
Terrible Love.
Yeah,
Terrible Love. Yeah.
yeah.
And also there's Lullaby by The Cure is another great spider song.
There we
Yeah.
go.
can we talk about Me Without You's 3 spider songs that are on Brother Sister, too?
Oh yeah, of course.
This has been Kylan Savage Jams.
So many great spider bangers.
Oh man, what else do we love about this record? So we've talked a lot about the lyrics. We talked earlier about musically, this was maybe not as complex, but we've also have heard phrases that is really, really catchy. So what was musically that stood out to you guys about this record?
I think the Breckenridge Brothers backbone of this band is so solid.
Mm.
Like they're just so locked in. Um, and like rhythmically, I think this album is really cool. We'll probably like save some of that for when we start talking about specific songs, but there's just like some of the rhythmic switches are really interesting in the way that they move you. So I think that's something that's really, really strong on this record.
Hmm.
I think the production is fantastic. And it is what kind of made it radio ready.
Hmm.
And I think that this album of all Thrice albums I've been able to use as a gateway drug for friends who haven't really listened to Thrice before. This is the record that I can win them over with. I for a long time I was part of a CrossFit gym and I could put this album on and everybody loved it.
Hmm.
Like because it felt like again it is straightforward, but the production is there. And sometimes with indie bands and smaller bands, they experiment a little bit more and people aren't used to it. And um, I don't know, this is just super polished.
Hmm.
Yeah, it feels like a big rock record, but like a really, really smart, clever one. Like it's tight and refined enough that it's palatable to the mainstream, but there's still enough edge there that, you know, indie fans like it too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm not a musician, but like I did notice that I love about this record is that like Hurricane and then Salt and Shadow bookend each other really well. And I feel like this is something that Thrice it freaking gosh. See if we're going I'm not gonna jump into the songs, but Hurricane, like the my favorite opener from Thrice out of any of their records, period. And I love how Hurricane bookends Salt and Shadow. If you listen to both of them, they both like the intro of Hurricane is at the very end of Salt and Shadow, and you can listen to it, and it's just like you could just listen to it as a loop, and it's just such a cool
You
thing.
can, and I usually want to. Like, I get to the end of this album and I want to listen to it again. Like,
Yep.
because other records, I like that is a common trope, right? People do that sort of thing, but usually one and I'm done. But it's not uncommon for me to just play this over and over.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure if it's every song, but a lot of them, they end the song in the key of the song coming after it.
Hmm.
So they flow. I mean, they really do flow. It's not just the ending in back into the intro. I mean, I mean, even where they put the heavy songs to the softer songs, it feels so seamless.
Hmm.
I would definitely agree. This is their most cohesive record of where it just like fits. I feel like sometimes some of their songs are kind of like almost like a jigsaw puzzle, like you're trying to like fit it in and it doesn't really work, but it works as a record, but it doesn't really. This one, it's like this is like a portrait. Like this is very much like every piece fits in this album perfectly. And like it looks like a picture, like you're not looking at puzzle pieces in a sense.
Hmm.
Mm. It was originally going to be like a concept album, wasn't it? I think I remember reading that he wanted it to be a concept record, and then as they started writing, it turned out, oh, maybe it's not quite a concept record, but I think enough of that single-mindedness has come through that you're right. It does feel very cohesive.
Hmm.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
To hope without answer is holding on to a memory of life. Will the money come? All I know we'll never see the sun, but together we'll fight along to be.
All right, we're going to talk about some of our favorite tracks from this, and we're just going to kind of go in somewhat of order. Matt's out of focus on his camera. I just saw him try and fix it. That was pretty funny. We still get the general idea that you're there with us. Zoom hates you. Let's talk about Hurricane. What are our thoughts on the opening track? We've already talked about it a little, but what are our thoughts on Hurricane?
I agree with Steven's take that I think this is probably the strongest Thrice opener. I love this song, particularly like the intro, the way that the acoustic sounds, and then
Yeah.
when the full band kicks in, like the melody that the acoustic kind of started carries through, like it feels really cool the way that they did that. And then. The line specifically, faith feels like a fistful of sand.
Mm.
We love alliteration. Well played, King. But outside of that, this is a line that has always really resonated with me. I think I've gone through a bunch of faith changes not dissimilar to Dustin, and and there were times when I think he in his youth felt really sure of himself, and there's like albums like Visu, which is the last one we talked about together, feels really sure of itself, like it knows what it believes, and wants you to know that. And now we've got a Dustin who's a little less confident, a little less sure of himself, and feels like he's kind of holding on to faith by with the grit of his teeth. And I think there's a real place for that, like that searching and doubt and loss of certainty can be a bit of a grieving process for people who are used to being like, oh, I know that I know that I know, and then getting to a point where they're like, actually, I don't really know, can be quite unsettling. And so this song has always felt like a bit of a balm for me. Yeah.
I like that you guys both called out just how it intros the album. For me, when I first heard it, I actually thought there was something wrong with the vinyl record,
Hmm.
because the notes they bend out of tune a little, and they do that on purpose, of course. But at first, it was off-putting for me as a musician, and it's funny because I still think about that, how I was pulled out of it right away. And then it turned into one of the songs that I just absolutely adore. And I do think it is one of the strongest openers that they have on any of the albums.
Hmm.
I was gonna say what I love about this song too is I love I love I just love this song so much. This is to me this is like a top three thrice song of all time too. I don't want to just continue to just top my list of saying, but for real, like this is like a really important song to me too. And I love when, and I'm not a musician, and we've discussed this. I'm terrible at it. I can't play any instruments. I can't sing worth anything, but I love the part where it's almost like he's like yelling out like in the song where it kind of gets quiet a little bit. Like I can't do his voice, but like I just when he's like, I can't keep like I don't know how to do it. You could bleep all that out because that was just trash.
It's just
But
one long bleep.
I love when he's just like yelling and belts it out when there's not a lot of music behind it, and then it kind of like pulls back in. And then I love at the very end of the song of it just like the surge of all the heavy, crunchy guitar, and it feels like that hurricane hits, and it just like, dude, it's just deafening. I just freaking love how this song is constructed. I love just because that's what hurricanes are, like I living in New Orleans, like we never had a hurricane when we were living there for 4.5 years. We had to get our bags ready one time and it was only a category 1, but you never worried about hurricanes until the locals were worried.
Hmm.
And so there was one time when we did have our bags ready because the locals were worried, and it was like post Katrina, post all that stuff, and they have all that trauma and that experience of like that terror. But like that's why I love this song too. Is like in the very beginning, you don't feel the hurricane, and then at the very end of it, it just hits you really hard. And it's a freaking phenomenal song.
In the South Pacific, we don't call them hurricanes, we call them cyclones. And we just had one pass through the last weekend, and it ended up being like a bit of a build-up. It's like we got all of these alerts on our phone, and everyone was like really worried and stocking up on water and everything, packing bags and things just in case we had to abandon ship. But ended up not being as bad as previous ones that we've had. We had a particularly bad one a couple of years ago where people lost lives and things.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's always weird to hear people call them hurricanes instead of cyclones. But I don't know if cyclone would have gone as hard in the song. Would it like it's got like less syllables? I don't know if it would have gone. How do we find shelter from the cyclone? I don't know. Would that like they could have done like a New Zealand remix of the album for us? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it almost sounded like Savage Garden right there. I was kind of getting into that, dude. So I mean, I would have loved a pop version
I
of
didn't
that
have
song.
don't have the same gravel that Dustin has.
The Along with his vocal performance, another shout out to the producer. Um, the amount of different effects that he uses in each song, whether it's giving it a little bit of a lo-fi feeling or making it feel at times like he's in a room all by himself. There's just big echo, and then when he chooses to take the effects away and let Dustin's voice just shine, the vocal production specifically is some of the best I think of on any Thrice record.
Yeah. I would say also, I think this is probably, I mean, if you've been listening to Thrice too, like you can kind of see his progression of his voice kind of change a little bit, even like up into the recent stuff. And I would say this is probably, to me, the most confident. I mean, I think he's in that groove, but like I think this is the most confident he's ever been behind a mic post this record and all these records like following. Like I just think that he just knew who he was behind the mic this time, and he really just let it rip in this album really well.
Makes you wonder if that time that he spent as a worship leader and playing in worship bands where the goal isn't for him to be himself, but his goal is to lead other people along. If he kind of refined some of the maybe more loose elements that he had, and it gave him that confidence because he knows exactly where he can take his voice when he wants to and how he wants to.
Yeah, maybe that's a good thought.
Yeah, I mean, and praise and worship songs, they always write them right at the top of your register. So I'm sure he had a lot of, vocal stretching going on in those years.
Yeah. What jumped out for me from this song is I now really want to know if Dury, the guy Austin Dury from the band Dury, if he's a huge Thrice fan, because that was immediately what I thought of, and Dury is obviously later, and so I was like, I wonder if he takes some of his vocal inspiration from Thrice, because it's really, and he's done worship stuff for the church I go to actually, and so like I was like, man, I wonder if he's really taken some inspiration from Thrice. So I see his dad occasionally. I kind of want to ask him if his son still got Thrice posters up in the basement. So yeah, I don't. Do people do posters in the basement? Probably not anymore. That was an '80s rock thing.
Right.
Matt's got
I was-
posters.
I-
Yeah, right. What am I
Yeah,
talking
and I'm in the downstairs.
about?
I had them up on until I got married, and then I was like, okay, it's time for mature art now instead of my thrice poster.
You put those thoughts away.
Funny.
Like, do your wife's not mind having band stuff on the walls? Because mine would be like, yeah, nah.
I pick all the art in our house, and in our living room, our main art is a vinyl record wall. And we change it out every month, and my wife picks the records, so she can literally change the tone of the room by putting up 15 records that are all purple or all blue, or in this case, this month they're very red and slightly purplishy.
That's so cool.
And
That's
it's
a
very
great
cool.
feature.
I would never,
Yeah.
my wife would never let me put band posters up in our house. But we also have like a 740 square foot apartment in Southern California. So there's not really a lot of space to put up band posters, even though it just would look a lot better in my opinion. But no shade on my wife.
She won't
So,
listen. So
yeah.
we have zero art in our house anywhere except for this room where I have a bunch of random crap up on the walls. So I get to decide this room because I spend 50 hours a week in this room, so easily. So, this is my spot. I got kids art over here. I got all sorts of random crap around this room. So yeah. Otherwise, no art. Nothing at all. Let's talk about Blood on the Sand. Second track. I'm going to read a little quote from Dustin, and then we'll open it up the floor. So, after watching a year of fear make people do terrible things, and now on the precept of more of the same, this song is an anthem for anyone that's had enough of it. So that was kind of I pulled that quote from some random thing, but Blood on the Sand. What are our thoughts?
I think Steven should go. He's the military guy. What do you think, bro?
Now he's upset. He just left.
Just calling,
come back.
calling
Come
me
back.
out already. It's good. No, I think interestingly enough, man, I kind of told you, this isn't my favorite song on the record, actually. I think it's a really well written song. I have mixed feelings of it. I didn't really like it as a single, honestly. Like I thought it was like a kind of like a misfire of a single, honestly, for me personally when it came out as a single. But like as a song, like I think the concept is great. I like the idea of it, but like this song didn't really affect me as much. And I don't know if it was just because the political climate at the time, just it felt almost kind of hypocritical to me of like kind of the thing that he was kind of trying to say. But I get it. Like, and I think what I do like about it is that line that we mentioned of just like, is there a gun in my hand, or it might as well be. I do like that idea of just like checking myself before I wreck myself. Like, I feel like sometimes I want to post something on Twitter and the Holy Spirit's like, nah, bro, like you should probably not do that, or you should probably delete that post, or you should probably just take a breath for a second. And, but I think this song, needs to be said, I guess, if that makes sense too. I don't mean to be ambiguous. I just think it's just not one of my favorite songs on the record. I think there's a couple other ones that I like a little bit more.
Yeah. I think it used to not be one of my favorites, but it like has grown on me so much that like if I listen to this record front to back a couple of times, it's the one that's going around in my head a couple of days later. So I think in that sense it was a good choice for a single because that, chorus melody is so strong.
Yeah.
So I think it's just really memorable. In terms of lyrical content, like I mean, like I don't know what it's like living in the US, but as someone on the outside kind of looking at you guys meddling in all these international conflicts, we mostly are like, what the hell are you guys doing? Why can't you just chill? So, so I go along with it as an outsider, but I don't know what it's like to be on the inside of the American war machine. So you guys probably have a better understanding of that than me.
We got zero chill.
Zero.
That's kind of how it feels.
I mean, I think like our defense force is like, like I don't even know if we have any planes. Like we probably got like, I think we have a navy. I don't know. We're very relaxed down here. But nobody's attacking
elves
New
and
Zealand.
dwarves, right? That would
Yeah,
defend you,
nobody.
right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Gimli is there ready to
Stupidest
run into
joke I've
battlefronts.
ever made.
See, that's why I want to live in the Shire. I could read books, I can eat freaking from my garden, smoke pipe weed, and just have a good life. I would love that. That's why I wouldn't want to have a gun in my hand, because those are three wonderful things that could be a possibility in being in the Shire in New Zealand, honestly.
I bet you the scenery does just bring a chill to the country. Like, it's just everything is beautiful, so it's easier to be a little more relaxed. Maybe that's it.
I don't know. I think America is very beautiful from what I've seen, like in pictures. I mean, like it's a very diverse kind of country. You
Yeah.
guys have got a lot of different sort of landscapes going on. Um, but I don't know. Like I live in Auckland, which is the biggest city in New Zealand, so I feel like in some ways I'm like insulated from that Shire vibe, Stephen. I mean, where they filmed Hobbiton is only an hour and a half drive away, and I have been there. Um, but yeah, it doesn't take too long to get somewhere beautiful here. That's for sure.
Hmm.
To tag on to what Richard was saying about the song getting stuck in your head, you know, the earworm quality of it. One thing about this song is I remember when Artist in the Ambulance came out, the song, not the album, but the song, and it was so catchy that people were like, oh, they sold out, you know.
Hmm.
Lo and behold, then the rest of the record comes out and it's super diverse and they definitely didn't sell out. But when I heard this song, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Dustin can flex that muscle anytime he wants and write a super catchy song that everybody can get it. Like, even if you don't know the words, right? Because I understand the words can be off-putting, but like, it's so infectious." And he does that multiple times with all three of the big singles, where it is super, super catchy. And sometimes it feels like vocally he fights against that.
Hmm.
And it was just nice to see him go, "Oh yeah, I can write a pop song."
Yeah. It's one of the more catchy choruses that when he says there's blood on the sand, there's blood in the street. Like, that's really easy to get caught in your, just caught in your mind and stuck in your head, because it's one of my favorite choruses on the record, I think. I like pop music, so.
Yeah, I like pop music, but it's not you typically what I go to Thrice for.
Yeah, well,
But
Exactly.
yeah, and it's nice when it's catchy. Yeah, I like to be able to sing along with it in the pit for sure. If only they would come to New Zealand instead of canceling their shows.
yes, I'm so sorry.
Ugh.
All right, anything else on Blood in the Sand? On the Sand.
I just feel like I disappointed Richard with my answer, honestly. I just
That's
gonna
fine. You still got other political songs to like chime in on, Stephen. We haven't got to Death from Above yet, so save some of the gold. We get it.
All right, let's move on to The Window. We kind of hinted at it earlier. It's kind of a unique song. I really do like the chorus. Actually, the one phrase I heard about it was like, he's kind of writing a song about like the idea that people can often get kind of stuck in a spot, and like it's only what they can anecdotally observe is kind of what drives their worldview, which I think is really interesting. So I like the song. I think it's pretty good. I think the chorus is an interesting. I got some interesting thoughts in it. But what do you guys think about this song?
I actually wanted to hear your interesting thoughts.
I mean, I just think that the chorus is interesting, right? Like I relate to that. I feel like how do I say this without being a jerk? I've always struggled with like I struggle to fit in American evangelicalism, and I feel like a lot of the people I go to church will be like, I tell this story all the time. We homeschool our kids, right? And so we got to know a lot of other homeschool families. And I remember at one point talking to somebody about like, well, the importance of public schools and why I'm happy to pay taxes that go to public schools. I wish more of my taxes would go to public schools because we need help there. And this woman turned to me and said, well, who can't, why would we don't need that. Everybody can just homeschool their kids. And I looked at her just dumbfounded. So I was like, how are single moms homeschooling their kids? And she like looked like I had destroyed her world. Like she was so thrown off by this one thing that just pushed her a little bit outside of like her anecdotal observations of everyone she knows homeschools and raises chickens. And like I had just destroyed her world because I said, well, there's people who don't live like you and we should
Imagine.
support them. And so this song is just some of the interesting thing about like, even like, I'm not going to convince you to change your mind because even then I think she still was like upset that I would want to support the public school system because they're so just set in their ways. And so like, he talks about like, I think it's like, I'm not gonna, there's no way I can prove that there's a place beyond this room. But still there's something in the way the light comes shining through. and in the way the curtain move. I just think it's a really interesting song, especially in a place where I feel that I probably have a lot of my own biases, but I think from my experience in American evangelicalism, I see this a lot, and I think it's an interesting perspective on it. So that's my thoughts on this song.
So the place beyond this room for you is is that there are people that are not like you? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
what yeah, cool.
And just
Okay.
people who don't live your life, don't have the exact same situation that you do, and so we should be mindful of those people. And I think there's a whole lot of other things that it could possibly mean, but yeah, that's one of the things that stood out to me.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think there's as a person of faith, there is no evidence for I mean, I know that apologetics is a massive industry, but for most people they can't be talked or reasoned into
Hmm.
accepting Christ or any kind of religion or spirituality. But I don't know, I always resonated with there's a chapter in Donald Miller's Blue Like Jazz where he talks about like why he's a Christian, and he's like, I think it's one of his friends says, "Do you know I'm a Christian?" Penguin sex, and he talks about how a penguin will lay an egg, and then the dad will sit on the egg while the mum goes out to find food. And somehow she knows like down to the hour or the minute she returns at exactly the right time that her baby is being hatched with food for the newborn. And he says like she has this like penguin radar inside of her that says, "Get home, your baby's coming." And he was like, in a similar way, he's like, I can't explain it other than there's some thing about the story of Christianity that resonates with something inside of me. I've got a penguin radar that says this is true.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I kind of interpret it as yeah, I can't explain it, but there is something beyond what we can see that I feel I get glimpses of.
Hmm.
And I f with that. I also really like I strained my ears until I thought that I might have heard a song somehow hiding in the soft glow, old as time and ever new, because it makes me think of my favorite fantasy series of all time, which is The Wheel of Time. Have you guys read this or seen the show? But there's the Tuathan or the people of the Leaf, I think they're called, but they have this quote where they're like a people just dedicated to like peace. They don't fight at all. Like you could strike them and they would do nothing. Like you can rob their carts and they will just let you. And they have this saying where they say, "I will find the song, or another will find the song, but the song will be sung this year or in a year to come. As it once was, so shall it be again, world without end."
Hmm.
And I've like always thought, man, that's really beautiful. So I don't know if there's any connection there or if I'm just making that connection because I like Thrice and I like the Wheel of Time, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Nice. Additional thoughts on the window?
I think just, I mean, again, like I love that. I kind of, I mean, it's in a later thing. I kind of have like a love-hate relationship that sometimes I feel like Dustin kind of recycles words, but like using light or using the water or using different elements or doing different things through different albums and stuff. But like he always says it so profoundly, and I always just get mad because I'm like, okay, I should probably get off my high horse because I can't write like this and like and stuff about the song too. Just talking about the light or just like being able to see something beyond what you're looking for. And I really appreciate that, Richard, a lot of just that Donald Miller reference, which makes me excited because I loved that book growing up. That was a really profound book for me in my Christian faith in my young 20s a long time ago. But
Hmm.
like I feel like there's always just been that just mystery and how like Dustin is able to use the light in this and this window of just that flicker of just seeing just the blinds move. And I love just that imagery. I'm a big image person. That's why I like a lot of film too, because of just certain ways there's like things are shot. And I just think when I'm listening to that song, I could just I feel like I'm in that room watching that blind move and I'm just like, oh, there it is. And I could just settle myself, you know? And so I
Hmm.
really, even how harsh the guitars are, kind of like punchy and crunchy. I don't know how to describe music again, but it's a really beautiful song.
Hmm.
You always under undersell yourself, Stephen, and because you actually describe music really beautifully. Like you might not like have any technical prowess, but yeah, you do capture things in a way that's very poignant.
Yeah.
Shit.
Awesome. Should we move on to The Long Defeat? It's the fifth track on the record. We skipped Wake Up just because we did. This is a Token reference, I believe. So more fantasy novels. What are our thoughts on The Long Defeat?
I love the song. This is probably, if you force me to pick a favorite, this might be it.
Hmm.
This probably feels like the most like typically Thrice song on the record, and I don't know if it's just like the lead line, but it feels almost like a bit of a spiritual successor to Anthology for me. Um, and kind of where Anthology felt like it was putting a bow on all the questions. Um, the Long Defeat feels like, man, there's going to be suffering, but that's kind of the point.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's my favorite song on the album, by far. And um, but it wasn't at first. Um,
Hmm.
it was one of those songs I was like, that's a good song, but I really had to spend time with it. But I think also I had to get into the mud more in my own life, and feel the struggle a little bit more. And as I've gotten older, this song is the one that I come back to the most, and that helps me remember to hope when things are at their worst. Um, and that reminds me of like the song In Exile off of Beggars,
Mm.
that we're just passing through, and that this isn't the end game. Um, yeah, I adore this song. It's so masterfully written, and everybody came and brought their A game.
Hmm. And there's another Wheel of Time reference because holding on to a memory of light. A Memory of Light is the final book in the Wheel of Time series. So don't
Oh,
know again, don't know if this is intentional, but the other thing I thought was a reference initially, but that I don't think is, or could be, to a different thing, is when he says, "Still, I believe there's a word in the wire," and I initially thought it was "word in the water," as a callback to "Words in the Water" from Major Minor, because he doesn't really enunciate very clearly on wire. But then there's also "Wood and Wire" from Beggars, so I don't know, maybe it's a callback to that.
he's so good.
Yeah, this is like a song that really just always has met me. I say this is also a top thrice song of all timer for me. This one just like most recently has helped me out a lot. I actually shared the lyrics with my wife when she found out that her dad had cancer. And I just said, this is a song that's helped me through some dark times in my life. And I read her these lyrics and stuff, and we've talked about it a little bit, but my wife's not really following Jesus anymore. But like I felt like these lyrics would help. I don't know if she even remembers me reading these lyrics to her and stuff, but like I appreciate the lyrics in the song too, because like I mean he brings up that line, hope without assurance, and part of me it bothered me for a little bit because I was like, Dustin, like, dude, there's always assurance and hope. But realistically, when you're going through the beep and you're going through like the mud, like you're saying, Matt, like sometimes hope doesn't feel like there's very a lot of assurance. But the best thing that we know is that we could face the long defeat together. And
Hmm.
like I love that. And I mean, if I ever had a lyric tattooed, I would just say together we'll fight the long defeat. Like I would get
That's good.
that as a script because like to me it's just like it's such a battle flag in my life of just like I would love for my wife to come back to the Lord. I would love for things to be easier in life. I would love not so high taxes. I would love certain elements. I would love us not to be in war. I would love not political figures to be, in politics or whatever it is, but the beyond that is just I know this memory of light, and I know that together we fight the long defeat. And I love that Dustin is very good at inclusive language too.
Hmm.
And I love that there's a togetherness in this because I know I'm not alone. Like I know like there's been things that's happened in my life and I've been able to share it with Caleb. And like I feel like that together we fight that long defeat together, or like things that we talk about on Twitter, or like there, even if it's just a heart of a notification that I get on that I post something, it's like, yeah, dude, like together we face that long defeat. We're in it together. And I love that. And so this is just really special song to me.
I know you mentioned that it was a Tolkien quote, but you didn't read the actual quote, which is I do not expect history to be anything but a long defeat. And that that pessimism is something that sometimes I fall into pretty hard.
Hmm.
And I feel like Dustin captured that feel, but added the hope back in for me.
Yep.
So, Stephen, you said that this is one of your kind of top 10 Thrice songs, and Hurricane is one of your top 10. Like, is to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Is this low key your favorite Thrice record, or
No.
where does it sit in the rankings?
Man, you'd have to make me pull up an old post. I think it would probably be 4. Yeah, 4 maybe. I don't know. Let me look at my old post and see if I'll change it. Maybe I'll just do like, tomorrow I'll post it and say what my thrice record is rearranged or something like that. But I think recently, um, Artists in the Ambulance jumped up past it, and also Major Minor did too. But I do adore this record. Like I feel like this is a top 5 thrice record for sure. But
Yeah, I think 4 is about right. Like, I would put it at 3 or 4, and I think it's gone up over time in my rankings. I would have probably had it like middle to low initially, and over time, I find myself coming back to this record quite a lot.
yeah, I find myself coming back to this record. If I go back to older thrice records, I still come to this record a lot often.
It bounces between 3 and 4 for me, but it's trading places with beggars, which somehow we never talk about.
Ooh, shots fired.
We'll find it on the calendar, and I realized you guys plus Chase were the exact like I did not plan this, but you guys talked about Thrice last year, and I was like, oh, Chase didn't sign up this year, so I just was so
Yeah.
focused on who signed up, and I wanted to do it, and I just looked it up, and I was like, oh, we have talked about Thrice before. This exact
That's
group.
why I was so excited. I was going to get my dudes back. The guys that actually
Yeah.
love thrice. I'm not going to be geeking out by
Yeah.
myself, and somebody's just like, okay, this guy's talking too
Caleb's
much.
just sitting here going, what
Same.
the heck? Before we move on, do you guys the Long Defeat is not a unique title. Sarah Groves released a song. Shout out Sarah Groves. This is the second time she's come up on the show recently. She's a CCM artist who makes her home in Minnesota and did some cool things. She released The Long Defeat in 2007. So maybe this is just a cover song of hers. It's a much more poppy version. It's not a cover song. And then Justin McRoberts, who I love, also has a song called The Long Defeat that off of an EP that he released in 2020. So there you go. There's The Long Defeat is a common, more common title. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That's a good fun fact.
I am not helping the discussion at all. Let's go talk about Black Honey. Actually, we're going to skip Kylan's favorite song on the record. I'm sure Seneca is his favorite song because Kylan loves instrumental interludes. So there you go. More Kylan jams now. Let's move on to Black Honey. I'm going to read a little quote about this, and then we'll open it up. So lyrically, the song spawned from an image that popped into my head. Someone continually swatting at a swarm of bees to get their honey, but somehow not understanding why they would sting back in return. So that was a comment he made to NPR about this song. What are our thoughts on Black Honey, the last single? No, that's the second single from this record.
I mean, it's a banger. It's a great song. It's another earworm, gets stuck in your head. It's I think his vocal phrasing is part of what makes it stick out to me, and why it gets stuck in my head. I don't know. I regularly find myself able to just kind of disappear in the rhythm of it all. I wouldn't say that it's one of my favorites, but I would be at a loss if it wasn't on this record. And I have
Hmm.
turned a lot of people on to the band because of Black Honey. And I mean, my kids sing this song, and it's awesome that a 14-year-old and my daughter who's 16, that this is the track that they were drawn to on this album first,
Hmm.
and then they went and took it and put it on their own playlists and show it to their friends.
Nice.
Cool.
I'm
That's cool,
positive they
man.
have no idea what it's about though.
Yeah. It's about bees. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I think like opposite relationship with Blood on the Sand and this one for me. This was
Hmm.
probably one of my early favorites on the album, and then
Mhm.
over time I felt like I've like it's kind of worn a little thin on me. Um, so I don't exactly know why that is. Like I say, maybe it's the repetition of the metaphor over and over and over. Maybe. I don't know, like you things don't stick with you forever sometimes. But yeah, I also wouldn't take it off the record. I really like the I don't know if we'd call it a bridge, but that refrain when we get to and they're following me across the sea and stinging my friends and my family. I like that phrasing. Yeah. I think just because it sounds like he's so bewildered about why is this happening? I'm just yeah, when it's so obvious. You stole the honey, bro.
Yeah.
And the metaphor is honey oil. What are we talking about?
I think so. I think he, you know, I mean, he makes the comment again. It's also in the NPR thing. Oh no, it was removed from that article. It seems like a fitting metaphor for much of U.S. foreign policy. So I don't know. Maybe honey is oil. I don't know. That seems to make
I
sense.
always, yeah, I thought it was oil just because oil is often referred to as black gold.
Hmm.
And so he just grabbed the two pieces and brought them together.
Yeah, I do think it's a very clever metaphor though, because like I say, of how like universal it is, like it could just be whatever self-destructive behavior that I engage in.
Stephen, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is like interesting because like this is like the first time when like I kind of like jumped on board a lot with Dustin's political views, where I was like, okay, I think I'm on board with like how he's kind of sees the world. I mean, this is shortly after I got out of the military, and so I mean, I was still seeing my friends deploy every 6 months, coming back different sometimes. I was seeing some of my friends getting hurt, whether that be mentally or physically. A memorial bracelet of a friend that I lost in Iraq. And so like I was just tired of the Black Honey, man. I was tired of just these oil wars and us doing things in countries and seeing my friends just being used as expendabilities just to further the war machine. And so like to me, this song resonated with me a lot because of that. And um I just think sometimes too, as much as I love this country and as much as I am a big fan of being American, I hate the military industrial complex. I hate what it does to people, and I hate that um people get hurt because of that, you know. And I think there's sometimes in the conundrum too. I do think that sometimes to fight evil, you have to do evil things, but like I hate that we have to be put in positions like that. And so this song like just was me. It was like kind of like a battle cry too, because like I'm tired of just seeing us getting stung for just doing things that I just was didn't agree with anymore, you know. And I was tired of seeing my friends getting hurt. And so yeah, the song is just really a somber and bittersweet song to me because like I just want us to just chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Well said.
Let's move on to Stay With Me. Again, this is a an homage to Dustin's favorite Josh Ritter song, "The Temptation of Adam." That's all I know about it. I really like this one too. What do you guys think about "Stay With Me"?
It was a sleeper for me. And when I first heard it, it was too pretty. It was it was a little off-putting because it sounded just like what you would have in like a teenage television show, One Tree Hill kind of thing. Is
Bro, you
how
better
it hit
not
me
be
at
coming
first.
for One Tree Hill. I will throw
Shots
hands.
fired.
And the soundtrack of One Tree Hill slaps as well. So let's go.
I mean, the OC was
But
better anyway, so I mean, we can
Oh
like
my
go.
gosh.
Bro, no way.
Oh man.
the thing is, it is probably my number two song now on it because it's so unique, and I I think that the sugar that I was experiencing in it, I now see it and feel it and hear it as sincerity,
Hmm.
and I believe him, and um, and it's a song that I share, I share with my wife, and um, I think about, I mean, just the way he says, "But would you stay with me?"
Hmm.
Hmm.
It hits different, and I totally wrote it off at the beginning. I do wish that some TV show or movie or something would pick it up and it would get, new love, because it definitely can sail. I mean, Richard's wearing a Death Cab for Cutie shirt, and if there's ever been a band that can write a sincere, you know, uh, love song or song with yearning, um, longing, it's all there. So I don't know.
Um,
And then the line about the bottle of bourbon that he hid away. Yeah, that's my life.
yeah. Do you guys interpret this as just a pure love song?
No, I don't think so, but I do think that that's where it goes for me.
It's a
Like when I hear
weird,
this song,
yeah. It's like a weird love song, right? Because it's like a post-apocalyptic, like they're in a bomb shelter, and he's worried that she's gonna leave and figure out the world's gone back to normal and then leave him. That's how I read it, and I think he's talked about it. So like, it's a pure love song, but it's like this super weird bent on it. Like it's this kind of messed up, like approach to a love song, which makes it fairly charming to me.
And
yeah, same.
it's giving anxious attachment to me,
Yeah.
like that, like checking, are we okay? Like,
Hmm.
are you sure we're gonna be good? And like, I'm a little bit anxious, so I relate to that.
Hmm.
It's interesting. I'm not an anxious person at all, but I have these moments with my people, not just my wife, but my people, that I do want to check in and make sure that we're all still together.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's probably does it call back to that line in Hurricane? It's like nothing good can ever stay.
Hmm.
I mean, I talked about it a little bit earlier. I mean, this was the first song that my wife actually liked, which was like really great because I was like, finally, she's come around and she's gonna like Thrice. And then I immediately played the next song, and she's like, okay, you can turn this off now. So, so to me, like, Stay With Me, I really like this song a lot too, just because being prior military, I love the reference, will you stay with me when the war is over? Will you still stay with me? And there's a lot of uh I get that anxious attachment. I've kind of like worked through a lot of that through therapy and stuff. But I do have that thought, you know. I mean, my wife and I, I'm like grateful that we'll be celebrating 10 years of marriage this year, you know, but still there's just that thought. It's like, would you stay with me just through all my crap that I foolish stuff of just being a man, you know, like not getting the dishes put away right, or not being able to put it like clean up in the garage when she wanted it done, or well, you're gonna
Is
stay
that the
with
war?
me through all this stuff. Or if I'm, what's that?
Is that the war? The
Yeah,
war of the dishes.
the war of the dishes and the war of the garage. Man, the garage is the worst world war for sure. But I also love that bourbon line too. You know, there's nights where I just love being able to have just a drum of whiskey and being able to just chill out. And I wish that Melanie would share that with me. But I love just that idea of just sometimes there's just that sweet comfort of just being able to just enjoy just that tiny moment of just peace, you know. And I just think this is a song that I was surprised that was actually on a Thrice record. This feels very much more of a Dustin Kensrue solo song,
Hmm.
like on an album, probably most likely his second one. What was that called? Carry the Fire. To me, this sounds very Cormac McCarthy too, in the sense of like how it's just kind of weird and ironic and stuff. So I don't know if that's the case, but to me, I was like surprised that he actually threw like a love song on one of his records, and this is one of my favorite songs on the record too.
Hmm.
So
That never would have dawned on me, that Cormac McCarthy, and I think you're right.
I mean, Carry the Fire is a Cormac McCarthy reference. So
Hmm.
read The Road. It's a great book. Devastating, but it's a good book.
I think I read it 6 times.
Woo!
Wow.
Well,
I'm just going to read the pre-chorus and then we'll go on and talk about our next song. Would you stay with me if you thought the war was over and everything made right? Would you still believe in us, or would your love for me grow colder with no one left to fight? I think it's one of the better little moments on the album. I think that pre-chorus. Now let's get crazy and talk about the 9th track on this record, "Death from Above." This is straight up about drones and super intense. Who wants to kick us off this song?
yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I already talked about. I think it's a really interesting perspective switch to put you in the seat or the mind of the person that's carrying out the drone strikes. Like, I think that's a really clever move. Um, the other thing is I love this song rhythmically.
Hmm.
Like there's just a few rhythmic switches in this song that I think are like fucking killer. Like the verses have that like kind of rolling kind of da 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 kind of feel like and then we go into the chorus which is kind of more straight ahead, four on the floor, and then the second half of the chorus, when it's real punctuated and syncopated with the I drop death out of the, and then when we hit Sky, we just like open right up,
Hmm.
and it's what it's like halftime or something. But it's like, yeah, that's like genius songwriting for me. Like this, for me, is one of the best songs on the album
Hmm.
for that reason.
The rhythm, those verses being, they're in 3/4, but he's not playing. Typically, for Americans anyways, we think of 3/4, we think of like a waltz, and they
Mm.
don't do that waltz at all. It's a hard hit that almost feels like you're stumbling, and
Hmm.
it
Mm.
reminds me
Yeah.
of the song Trust off of Illusion of Safety. They do a similar thing, and it feels like the beat gets there a little too early.
Hmm.
But the way they do that with the topic of this song gives it attention, that I just I'm with you the whole way. And when they get into that halftime bit and it feels like it just opens up, it's brilliant. I mean, they were so in sync, and not very many people could pull it off, and not very many people could pull it off and still keep your head bobbing to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's so catchy. Like that chorus is like insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is like probably after the long defeat.
Hmm.
And then it's almost prophetic. You know, he writes this song, and we come out of an administration where the president had used more drones than ever before in history. And now, 10 years later, we are in a whole new world where drones have taken over everything. And when I was thinking about this conversation that we're going to have, like last night, listening to the song and just thinking about where we're at, the chills and the goosebumps of the reality that now it's maybe not even a drone operator behind the wheel of these things. It could be AI.
Hmm.
The song hits as hard as ever.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this song just I hate it because of really of like I don't hate it, but I hate the implications of this, and the consequence of drone strikes. I mean, I've had a friend that had an absolute panic attack. She was going to school, learning how to be an air traffic controller and being able to do this kind of stuff, and she literally panic attack, flunked out of her school, and like she ended up like working in my career field, which was logistics, which was a little bit easier and gentle on the mind, even as much as we deployed and did things. But like I just can't imagine just the amount of gravity, because it's like, I mean, people that I know that have done this, it's like a video game. Literally, you're just looking at the screen and there's just that disconnect from what you're doing to the actual consequences, but it still does the same amount of damage as what if you had to end somebody's life. looking at someone. Like it's just awful. And so like I hate this song because of the implications. I hate of the reasons of doing that. And I just and Dustin is just brilliant of asking why. Like why? You know, and I think a lot of artists and political statements are like what we kind of described, like they want you to know something. And then after that, then you could just parrot it right back because yeah, I believe with anti-flag, I could stand and or Pennywise, like I say F authority, and it's like, yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, But like Dustin flips it and saying why, like why are we doing this? And it's just like, dude, like yeah, why? Like I'm settled with that too because it just like hurts, man. Like this is not an easy song to listen to. And then also, I just love that you guys are magicians. Yes, because magicians are musicians. Because you guys are magicians while you are musicians. Okay, I'm gonna stop saying that because it sounds fun. ADHD's coming out, bro.
I know when we hit that point. It was about an hour and a half in. I could see it on you. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
On behalf of the Bears, I will continue this. Okay, I'll stop.
I don't even
But
know
I
if it's still
love
funny.
that you guys are musicians, that you recognize the time changes. Like I don't like I listen to music, like I could tell like something's different, but like I can't tell you what 3/4 means or 7/8 when they go that, or like how they're able to like construct these things. Like I can appreciate the musicianship, but I don't know that like timing, and like I can't do that because I have zero sense of rhythm and stuff. But I do feel like when you're listening to that song, it's like that exhale while you're listening to it, and he's trying to catch his breath. And to me, like in this song, like I that's probably what you're doing with before you're having to make a choice like this. Like how do you like not exhale or like freaking have a moment of just absolute like holy crap, this is happening,
Hmm.
And so like I really applaud Dustin talking about very difficult things, and then very much of being a person that challenges me, being a white person too, to say why does this need to happen, So
It's a really uncomfortable song to listen to, which is really intriguing that it's a listenable song, but yet it feels uncomfortable. It's a real interesting dynamic to watch because the topic makes you uncomfortable is the word I would use, but yet it doesn't make me want to be like, oh, I got to skip this song because it still is like there's something very intriguing about it. So it's another, I'd say, masterclass in songwriting in a lot of ways. All right, we'll close out. The last song we're gonna talk about is the final track from the album, "Salt and Shadow." I'll leave it at that. What do we want to say about "Salt and Shadow"?
I was gonna say, I think if you're a Thrice fan, you get excited to hear how they're gonna close out an album. I think for me, Thrice is brilliant at closing out records. I don't think there's many bands that do it as good as Thrice with their closing songs. Like I think Red Sky is a masterpiece. I think Disarm's a masterpiece. I think
Thanks.
what's it called? Kings Upon the Main is a masterpiece. Gosh, I just can't. Beggars is a masterpiece. I mean, it's just like they're killer closers. I think Salt and Shadow is a great song. I don't think it's their strongest closing one, but like I talked about before, like I like how it bookends, and I like just the piano. I like the softness to it. I still feel like I don't really understand the song, or lyrically I don't really get it. And so I think that's kind of cool because I do listen to it still. Like I do like listening to this song. I think it's just a pretty song to listen to, but it's not like I think Thrice is so good at closing songs, and I think it is a great closer. It's just not one that I would say it's on the same league as some of the other ones I named. But I just love Thrice. You should listen to this. So
Yeah, I think it's an interesting, like I'm not 100% sure how to interpret the lyrics of this one either, but I think it's interesting to think about in light of the obvious Seneca reference in the album title, like that idea of like to be everywhere is to be nowhere, is that we're all kind of like so distracted and spreading ourselves so thin that we're not really truly present in the moment. And so like if you look at like the lyrics here where we've got like, the closeness of like you managed to hide even here by my side where we lay. So just like this like physical proximity, but being like worlds away, it feels like that's kind of like all of us, like with our like we're so connected but so disconnected. So I think that maybe this is kind of a thesis statement, sort of a song for the album. And you could like interpret this in a really personal way, like maybe this is a like, could be feeling isolated within a marriage. Literally, we're lying in bed next to each other and like not feeling like we're really seeing each other. Or it could be like bigger and more societal, like we're missing each other in all of the noise pollution. So yeah, I think there's lots of layers to the song that I really like.
I also like that there's the lyric about talking through glass, which is a callback to the song Talking Through Glass. We move like swing sets off of Beggars.
Hmm.
And that song was also a commentary on getting disconnected because of our phones. They you can be lying in bed with somebody right there and you're both scrolling Instagram. In this song he talks about the black squares on a page. It's man, he's just good.
Yeah, you guys hit the themes that they called out. There's an interview or there's like a Vagrant Records has a thrice bio, and they talked about this song being about that idea of like being spread through thin and being disconnected from people, and the effect of social media and on being on your phones, and how you can know a lot of things about you don't know a lot about a few things, you know a very little about a lot of things, and like you just there's all these things that then come with some of the modern technology, and so that is some of the themes that they are going for, according to that bio.
I was just gonna say I'm with Steven about the piano too. It's not a key. Well, it could be a really nice keyboard, but it sounds like a real piano,
Hmm.
and it's gorgeously how they weave it in and out.
Hmm.
I think it's really cool as well that we're going from like a song that is so like, like Death from Above. Oh, so do we skip a
We
song? We
skip
missed Whistleblower,
Whistleblower, but
did
it's
I?
Death from Above and
Whistleblower.
Whistleblower. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both pretty energetic songs, and then we bring it right down to like Thrice does Radiohead kind of thing, which they've always, not always, but since Visu were kind of experimenting with these sorts of sounds, like this kind of feels like, a bit of a like something in the same vein as Atlantic, which was also kind of exploring that like that distance.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I just really like that they're a band that can do almost anything, it seems.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last thing I was just gonna say too is just like I just think it's just with the whole like title too, like to be everywhere is to be nowhere reminds me a lot of one of my favorite quotes from a missionary that was in Ecuador that was martyred, Jim Elliot. He says, "Wherever you are, be all there."
Hmm.
And it's very reminiscent of the same kind of thing, is to be everywhere is to be nowhere. And I just love just that thought of just being able to be present. And I think this song causes me to be present because like I feel like there's just so many places that this album kind of takes me with different themes and different ideas or different thoughts, and then just Thrice just knows how to slow it down really well too. And I think it's special when a band can do that and slow it down and not just sound like a hokey acoustic song that this guy's like pulling out a dusty acoustic guitar and just like, all right, here's my one song that I'm just gonna sing by myself in front of a mic. Like all of them are talented that can play different instruments and stuff. And like I think this for me, it was just like such a reprieve after those heavy songs at the very end too. Like I mean, Death from Above and Whistleblower is a heavy song too. And it's interesting that you were saying that this was like a lot of the cause of social media. I feel like during this time, this is when we're starting to see a lot of news on social media too.
Hmm.
And so like a lot of opinions started happening on social media during this time too. And I feel like what a poignant way to kind of end game it and just saying like, you know, be everywhere is to be nowhere, except be present where you're at.
Hmm.
The quote that you said reminded me of the other famous quote, "Wherever you go, there you are," which I don't know who coined that, but it also reminds me of a Bluey episode, and I won't start talking about Bluey because I'll probably cry. But
Save it for the Patreon. We're gonna do Bluey episodes. We break them down minute by minute. There's
Dude,
a podcast idea for you.
I'm so there for that.
Bluey
There is
Bluey
al- there-
Minute.
there's already a podcast like with two dads that talk about Bluey
Oh,
episodes.
really? Oh,
So
funny.
yeah.
Never watched an episode of Bluey. I have no idea what the show's about. I just know it's on every single kid's shirt. So
It's cartoon dogs, but like if you have, I mean, I don't even think you need to have kids, but it's kind of like a kid show that's made for the parents. Like it's so
That's
cleverly
what I've heard,
written.
yeah.
Like like the amount of heart and humor that they fit into 7 minutes is an absolute feat of writing. Like it's so well made. Like, and I've cried multiple times watching that show. It just gets me right in the dad feels.
I
that's
think
awesome.
Matt, you and I, our kids are too old. Like we missed the whole Bluey. I totally missed it. Missed it totally.
I would literally was going to say what it was. It.
Yeah, it's an Australian show, but like yeah, I honestly like I would watch it without the children. Like that's how good it is. Like I would just recommend it as a good cartoon. Like give them all of the awards is my opinion.
All right. Well, join us next week for Bluey Minute, where we break down a Bluey episode minute by minute. Have you ever heard? There's a podcast called Star Wars Minute. We don't have time for this. All right. Let's go to our last question. So if you haven't been listening for the last 2 hours and you just jumped in here at the 2 hour mark and you want to hear what we're going to recommend, why you should go back and check this album, and I'm going to start, or why this holds up, or why you should go back and check this album out if you missed it. I'm going to start. I've tried multiple times to get into Thrice. I'll be totally honest. Listen to the other records. We've covered a couple on the show. They started being on my calendar because everybody loves them. So I put them on the calendar and I tried to listen, and I've always been like, yeah, this is fine. I really like this album. This was Matt called it. It was so funny when you said it earlier. It was like, this is a good gateway into Thrice. I was like, wow, this really, when you said that, I was like, this really is. Because the other ones I've listened to, I've been like, yep, this is fine. It just doesn't do it for me as much. Where this one, I got a lot more of it. And maybe it's because it's a little more pop friendly at times. But yeah, totally is a great gateway. If you want to check out Thrice, I actually really think this is a really good starting spot for a non-Thrice fan if you want to try and make that gateway into it. So there's my recommendation. Sorry, but I thought I'd go first because you guys will probably have much more emotional thoughts about it. Steven, let's have you kick us off.
Dude, man, I wasn't expecting to go first. Good. Let me collect my thoughts first.
Okay, we'll go Matt, and then we'll go back to Steven, and then we'll have Richard close us down so you know when you're going.
I think people should listen to this album. Really, if you find yourself as a person who likes hard rock, and you feel like the big bands that are out there are getting kind of stale for you, this is a record that can really open some doors. I think of fans of bands like Foo Fighters and things like that. This record is for you as well. You don't have to be big nerds like us, but this record, I know you'll enjoy it if you give it a shot. And there's just not a lot of bands that have that sound, that polished sound, that heavy sound without having to scream all the time and everything else, that can grab onto as many different types of people.
Steven, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Cool. For me to listen to this record, I think I kind of touched on it a little bit. I think the Long Defeat, if you start there, even if you don't start out Hurricane and just listening to the Long Defeat and just kind of like hearing that mantra and just knowing that we're in it together, kind of just ties this whole record together as a whole too. And I think just knowing that, and just if you're feeling kind of like alone in the battle that you're facing, or kind of like lost in the kind of quagmire of what's going on politically or what's going on in life, I think this is a very grounding record, a very record that's you're able to like kind of resonate with and wrestle through. And I think this is a record that you can appreciate, because sometimes we don't have all the answers, but we can be present where we are, and we can be showing up as our best selves, and like together we'll face the long defeat. And I'm like, I'm with you. I want to fight alongside of you. Like even if the war is over, I'll stay with you. So
That was a Church Jams Now level of song titles and song references wrapped in there. Well done. Richard, take us home.
I think this is a just a really good alternative rock record. Like if you're a fan of rock music, you'll probably find something to like here. I'd also say if you're a person who has ever experienced spiritual struggle, yearning, um, like conflict, if you have come from a place where you thought you knew all the answers and now you're less sure, like this album will resonate with you. If you look at the actions of the US government and are at times bewildered, this album is for you. Um, yeah, there's just a lot to grab onto. Lyrically, it's very like deep whilst being like straightforward enough that you can latch onto some things. So you can enjoy this record at a surface level because it is catchy. And there are things where it's obvious what a song is about, and there is also a depth and maturity to the musicianship and the lyricism that rewards repeat listens. So, yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
Stay with me. If you thought the war was over and everything made right, would you still believe in us? Would your love for me grow colder? No one left to fight. Would you stay with me? Would you stay with me?
Okay, that is it. That's our breakdown of To Be Everywhere Is to Be Nowhere by Thrice, again released May 27th, 2016, celebrating a 10-year anniversary. If you've listened to this long, you should stick around because they're going to tell you where they can be found online. Stephen, where can people find you online?
yeah, you can find me on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. I have really great music takes sometimes, but you can follow me there at Steven versus T-Rex. And then if you want to follow my Instagram, it's as good as it gets. And then my last name is spelled Goetz.
Nice. And you have a Substack, right? Your writings can be found?
Dude, I kind of, well, yeah, you can find me on Substack. I started writing a sequel to my coming of age, and I kind of hate it a lot right now. But if you do want to go to my Substack, you can check that out. It's going to be TIMBRE wolves.substack.com. I have a couple novellas on there. I am kind of proud of those. I'm just kind of discouraged at the moment in my writing, but that's just
It'll
the life
get
of being a writer.
The
you'll
life
get
of a
there.
writer. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. I've written two chapters this year, and that's about it. Yeah, it's not going.
I wrote the notes for these episodes. That's all anything beyond that, and I'm lost. So I'm there's no chance. So awesome. Yeah, I'll make sure the link to your Substack is in the show notes as well. So Richard, where can people find you online? If you want to be found.
Oh, yeah, no, you're fine. You can find me at MC Dragon on Twitter. MC is EMCEE. So it's just this one of my rap names. But I tweet about whimsy and music and sometimes movies, sometimes fantasy football. Basically a combination of things that literally nobody asked for.
You should start tweeting about Bluey. I think that's the way to bring people in, is the Bluey tweets. I think that'll work.
All right, it's time for a rebrand. Let's go.
We're starting all over. It's all Bluey all the time. Matt, where can people find you online?
I'm on X and Instagram as Matter Brown, and I don't post as much as a lot of you guys, but if you love music and movies as well, things like that, I appreciate the follow. I'll follow you back because I love the things that you guys expose me to, yeah.
Awesome. And you have stuff that you sell too that people can find online, right?
Yeah, so we have a coffee roastery called The Great North, and you can find us at thegreatnorthcoffee.com. And if you're ever in Portland, you can visit one of our cafes, Portland, Oregon. And we also own Lovejoy Bakers if you want a good meal.
There you go. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, guys, I appreciate it. I love that people sign up for this. Again, not a record I would have taken the deep dive into had I not done the show. So I'm glad people signed up that I was like, yes, let's do this record. So thanks so much for hanging out for a couple hours. Oh, a couple hours here on Thursday night for some of us and a Friday afternoon for others. Richard, enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you in 2 days. Sorry, I'm going to ruin
bro.
your weekend.
No, it's making my weekend. Like,
Oh.
who doesn't love like hanging on the internet and talking with friends about music? Like, this is so great that we get to do this.
Well, I appreciate you guys joining the show. This was super, super interesting, super fun. So thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
But I'm never sure who are you killing? How many innocents were in the building? I dropped dead out of love. No longer human beings, no longer people. Just targets on the screen. None of it's real. I dropped dead out of the sky.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Album Anniversary Podcast. I want to say thanks again to my guests, Matt, Richard, and Steven. Just great to talk to them about this record. Super insightful stuff. Just really interesting. Really appreciate their time and hanging out for a couple hours and talking about this record. Really great. Let us know what you thought. What do we get right? What do we get wrong? What are your favorites from this album? Find me on social media. I'm on all of them, especially YouTube. I've been failing at the shorts. I will be totally honest, but all my shows end up there. The subscribers help. I'm not going to lie. So please do that. And then I have a Patreon. It's $2 a month for at least one extra show. Sometimes if there's extras from shows, they'll go there, especially some of the interviews I've been doing. If I have kind of extra stuff, it'll go there. But then we do one extra show every month. Sometimes we talk about movies. Sometimes we talk about just a normal album. It's all over the place. That's a little more unhinged. Please go check that out. Please subscribe, share the podcast, leave a rating or review. Thanks so much. And I will talk to you soon.
You're here, but it's clear. You're just something shadow. Here, have you're here, but you're
Was Absolute Punk?
I
Oh, go ahead.
go
Sorry.
ahead.
Well, I was going to say,
I thought it was-
I don't, yes, I love it, dude. The awkwardness.
That's going to go at the end.
You,
Steven, you go.
My bad. Sorry. The
Can I
ADHD
just
coming out.
oh, wait,
Yep, oop. Good.
One thing that I think is amazing, sorry, this might just end up at the end because we'll see where this goes because I just totally thought of this, is I was really impressed that they've had the same 4 members, right? And even after the hiatus, I was like, I should figure out that for the facts. Who changed after the hiatus? And I was like, oh, no one changed. That's kind of cool. So anyway, I thought that was a cool little fact.
I don't think Thrice would be Thrice without them as a whole, as a band, anyways. That's
Yeah, I think
my
I've heard.
personal opinion.
Yeah.
I just don't think they could do it. Like, I just wouldn't like them the same. It's kind of like Linkin Park without Chester Bennington. Sorry. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, sexist take, bro.
But accurate.
Oh, shots fired. I think I own one of their albums on CD. I don't know.
Can I say something really quick? I just
Yeah.
have to use your restroom super bad. I'm so sorry. Otherwise, I would just.
Okay.
You guys should talk about it amongst yourselves, and I'll just jump in.
Talk
I'm
amongst
sorry.
yourselves. Corn nuts, neither corn nor nuts. All right, let's close down our. Let's close this down here. Well, we're at the 2-hour mark. Oh, how long was the last Visu or the Visu episode? I'll have to look that up. I'll tell you guys. The Visu is my second most listened to episode still. So
Really?
the only thing
What's-
the only thing that's beat is Reese Roper. So, and I hate to say it, Mark Solomon's going to catch you. He's been out only about less than a month, and he's already right on your tail. So Mark Solomon's going to beat you, but the only ones that have beat you are Reese Roper and Mark Solomon. So it's pretty good.
Nice.
And it recently, for a long time, it was stuck right at like second and third, where like there was two that were right there, and then like this one jumped up. The other one's not really keeping pace with it anymore.
I put it on a thrice group, but nobody liked it.
But that was recently. I mean, it was recently that it jumped up a bunch. So I was like, what the heck happened here?
That's cool.
I can't tell what's going to be popular or not. I have no concept. I'm really bad at marketing. Matt, you were going to say something. Sorry.
Our head chef was playing Visu in our kitchen. I was like, dude, funny story. And I told him about it, and he went and listened to it, and then he shared it with somebody else too.
There we go. That's the bump in listenership. That's what.
He was just like, you guys shared so much stuff that I didn't know, and I love that album, and it added a lot to it. And I was like, thanks. I was just glad to be there with those guys.
That's how I feel. I was like, I try and do some research. I do enough of these shows where there's times where I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna let the guest carry it. Like the Pet Sounds one that we have coming up, Pet Sounds episode coming up.
Ooh,
I knew Eric was just gonna do 1,000. I was like, can I keep Eric under 2 hours? That was my main thought, and I couldn't even come close. So yeah. All right, let's close this down.